Thank you very much. It's nice to be back again. What I want to do is a collection of 3 songs. I want to do 2 of them up front, and then on the tail end, we have another one, and it all ties in with the lecture. So let me go down front and get this thing warmed up, and we'll start presenting it for you. If you notice down front, there's a picture of an angel. So what we're going to talk about today is your connection with your angels. What I want to do is tell you a story about a person that I had some dealings with that very much believed in guardian angels. And I want to give you evidence that they actually exist. I want to say I'm the biggest evidence that there is. I shouldn't be here. And we'll get into that later. But let me get this going here for you, and I'll present it. Now, the first song I want to do is if you had a grandparent that you've lost, this is for you. I read a note my grandma wrote back in 1923. Grandpa kept it in his coat, and he showed it once to me. He said, "Boy, you might not understand, but a long, long time ago, Grandma's daddy didn't like me none, but I loved your grandma so. We had this crazy plan to meet and run away together, get married in the first town we came to, and live forever. But nailed to the tree where we were supposed to meet, instead I found this letter, and this is what it says. If you get there before I do, don't give up on me. I'll meet you when my chores are through. I don't know how long I'll be, but I'm not gonna let you down. Darling, wait and see, and between now and then, till I see you again, I'll be loving you, love me. I read those words just hours before my grandma passed away, in the doorway of the church where me and Grandpa stopped to pray. I know I've never seen him cry in all my 15 years, but as he said these words to her, his eyes filled up with tears. If you get there before I do, don't give up on me. I'll meet you when my chores are through. I don't know how long I'll be, but I'm not gonna let you down. Darling, wait and see, and between now and then, till I see you again, I'll be loving you, love me. Between now and then, till I see you again, I'll be loving you, love me. So hopefully that brought some of your remembrances of the people that passed away. I think everybody has that experience. This song was made famous by a gentleman called Colin Ray. I think I may have a little kinship with that one too, and we'll explain that a little later. Now, the other one I want to do for you is called Amazing Grace. Let me get it up here. Here we go. There's a lady named Susan Boyle did this version of this. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Was blind, but now I see. That's a little slower version than we usually hear of that, and I thought she did a dynamite job. What I want to talk about today is angels. So let me... You
can stay down there if you want.
Okay.
That way we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Hello. Okay. I'm turned on. Okay. The church advertises this is a church where angels come. Now, most of the time you hear lectures, you hear very few people talk about angels. Most of the time it's about God or Jesus or Mother Mary or someone like that, or maybe it's some metaphysical philosophy or something. But what I want to suggest to you is there's angels all around you. There are a multitude of angels. There's only one of Jesus and one of God. So you have access to all of these angelic guides around you all the time. And my question is, do you believe in angels? And if so, do you interact with them? Do you have conversations? Do you listen to them? Do you ask information from them? How your life is going and this type of thing? Because I want to tell you a story. It's a true story as I remember it anyway. We'll start off with this lady's birth in Arkansas in 1917 on July the 7th. She was born to a supposedly average family, but the things that transpired afterward, I think, changed her life, changed the way she perceived the world around her. So I want to say that the birth was uneventful. By the time she was 4 years old, she was having psychic encounters with angelic beings and other beings around her. And she was told to keep that to herself. Nobody wanted to hear it. So that was one of the things that she used throughout her life to kind of protect her, in her sense anyway. At the time she was 4 years old, she had a dream. And in this dream, there was this big black cloud rolling in, thunder and lightning, almost like it was boiling. And it stopped in front of her. And she, in a fearful state, thought, boy, this is something bad about to happen. A young child, only 4 years old. So she asked an angel being that appeared in this cloud, who do you want? Fearing that this angel had come for her for some reason. And the angel told her, we're here for Louise. Now, Louise was about the same age, and she was a little playmate with this particular person. Within 4 days, she was dead. That's a little bit much for a child of 4 to handle. But she was aware that she had some kind of a presence around her that kept telling her everything would be okay. By the time she was 6, her father passed away from tuberculosis. So that left her and her 2 brothers, one older and one younger, and a mother to take care of them. And her mother had to take in laundry, do housekeeping and that type of thing to try to make ends meet, to be able to feed them and take care of them. That, I think, was kind of a shock to her and to the 2 brothers. But a greater shock came even later when she was around 11. Her mother was on a date, had gone out to a dance, and was coming home with this gentleman in an automobile. They ran off the road into a ditch, it turned over, and back then gas tanks were directly above the steering wheel, below the windshield. You fill them up outside, because the gas would simply drain down into the motor simply by gravity. Now back then they didn't have flashing lights on the side of the road. What they used was kind of like a bomb, about this big around, it had a wick in it. It was a kerosene lantern effect. When the car wrecked, it hit this bomb, we'll call it. The car exploded in flames. This lady mother caught on fire, and rather than trying to put it out, she ran screaming, and the more she ran, the worse the fire got. She died a day later. So now the kids are without any type of parents. The gentleman, by the way, managed to roll and put the fire out, and he survived that. But now we have 3 little orphans. The older son, or brother, I should say, was taken in by one of the relatives' family. This lady and her younger brother were taken in by another. Now that may seem great, but her perception was entirely different. She said, I felt like I was a slave. I was doing all the laundry, the housekeeping, the cooking for the whole family. And there was an older son in the family, and then a younger daughter, younger than what she was. So this went on until she was about 15 years old. And she finally decided she had enough. There were suggestions of sexual harassment, the idea of being a slave, and all the time she was talking to this angelic being that kept telling her everything would be all right. So at some point she had this conversation with the angel saying, I can't handle this more, I've got to leave. So she wrote a letter to a cousin that lived about 200 miles away in Oklahoma, of all places, and asked if she could come and stay with them. And she soon got a letter back saying, okay, if you can get here. So the next Monday morning, she and the little brother got up before daylight and started their journey, hitchhiking. She's telling me she had 4 different rides, and they would go a certain way, then they have to backtrack. But later that day, before sundown, she managed to make it there. On the way, the little brother kept complaining about it. He was hungry, didn't have anything to eat. So she was walking in the process of trying to get a ride again, and she's about 50 miles away from her destination. And there is a stone house on the north side of the road that she came up and knocked on the door and asked the lady that came to the door if she could have something to eat. They hadn't had anything to eat all day and they were traveling, and the lady invited them in and fed them. After that, she was back outside again and hitchhiking, and she finally got to her destination. Everything was very warm and cordial for her. It's almost like a brand new world, brand new life. So this was going on, and she's about 15. Supposedly, most of the bad things that happened to her were over. The angel kept telling her that she need not worry, everything would work out. And the workout is the curious thing about it. The angel was telling her, by the way, she never gave the angel a name, she just called him Angel. She'd say, Angel, what's going to happen in my life? And one of the fascinating replies that she got was, it's not written in stone. You have to imagine your life. And it's ongoing. The things you experience, the things that you think, the things that you know are real, become a reality. That becomes your world. So everything that happened in her life, good, bad, or indifferent, she felt she was responsible for it in some way, so she was very careful about the things that she would do. And all the time, she never told anybody about this angel that kept conversing with her, advising her. When she was around 18, she met this gentleman and they got married. This gentleman's family, I think there were 13 kids, so there's no way that they could move in with them. So they got a little place, and I guess happiness and bliss is part of early marriage life. Anyway, they had 4 kids, 3 girls and a boy. And now I want to tell you the rest of the story. This beautiful lady was my mother. Her name was Charlene Ray, not unlike the gentleman that had written the song about Love Me. my experience with her as I was growing up is, I think Merle Haggard wrote a song that said, I was the only hell my mother ever raised. That would probably apply to me because I got in just about everything. I'm from a small town. I think there's maybe 2,000 people population, and it wasn't in a town. It was kind of spread out. When I was about 14 or 15, I decided this is what I want to do. My parents, my dad particularly, said, you can't do this, you can't do that. So if you're a teenager, you know how that works. It's in one ear and out the other. So I got to be very independent very early and did whatever I wanted. But in that process, you kind of learn by the hard way. Now remember, I told you that I was evidence of angels existing? When I was a junior in school, I had a friend that had one of the old Studebakers that had the wraparound rear window on it. If you've seen those, kind of like an airplane up front, that type of thing. It was worn out. He never put oil in it, at least not new oil. He would simply go by the service station to pick up the discarded oil and dump it in. He carried this gallon can with him all the time. That he would have to refresh it. And it smoked a little bit. Well, it smoked a lot. But one day we were out, I want to say horsing around because you're always trying to find something to get into, it seems like. And he was just about out of gas, but he made it in front of my parents' house, and he decided to go to his dad's car and bring it up and siphon some gas out so we'd have gas to play the rest of the evening and night. So we're out front. We have this gas can out. We have a siphon hose, Oklahoma credit card, I think it was called at the time. And we're having difficulty seeing because it's getting dark outside. We didn't have a flashlight. So in my most stupid decision I ever made in my life, I lit a match, held it about 3 feet away from the gas tank. The gas tank is open and I'm watching what's happening. All of a sudden there's a flame about this big around, a blue flame that just seemed to go in slow motion right down into the gas tank. As soon as that happened, I put my hand over the top of the gas tank and I just knew we were gone. And we kept standing there waiting for it to happen. Have you ever heard the sound of silence? Nothing was happening, and all you could hear was this silence. So that's why I'm absolutely convinced that we have guardian angels around us. That should have caused an explosion. There's no way, no how that it wouldn't. And that was just one of my major hell-raising stunts, I think. Oddly enough, it didn't seem to change either myself or my young friend attitude or anything else because we were out still trying to get into trouble. And we did. Another time, let me back up just a little. Back then, you were not allowed to have liquor or beer joints inside the city limits. So they had beer joints on the outside of town. And they were kind of wild and free, and nobody paid much attention to them. So we're out at this one little tavern on the outskirts of town, on a place we call Thrill Hills because it had hills that go up and down like this. And if you're a kid, you want to do 90, 100 miles an hour down these roads because you come on the top, it actually gets weightless. And there were several people I know have been killed on that simply because of that. Anyway, we're at the tavern and there's a fight breaks out inside, and there's 3 young men that get involved with a squabble with the 2 ladies that run the place. And so the guys go out front and they're bragging about how macho they are and this type of thing. And we're out front, we're standing by a tree listening to all this. All of a sudden the lady steps around the side of this tavern with a pistol, I don't know what size, it sounded like a cannon, and fires it off. It hits a tree behind me, and I get bark all over the back of my neck. And I have to tell you, I was extremely fast that night. We ran about a mile. There were 3 of us guys just scared to death. And I was absolutely certain I had been shot. We get down there and we stay there probably for half an hour just to kind of collect our nerves and everything. And we finally went back up and got the car and drove out of there. Second time, guardian angels have been around me. And there are others, but those are the two that stick out most in my mind. Now, she also had two brothers. Remember I told you about those? That were in World War II. She asked for them to be protected and to be able to come home in one piece and safe. And they did come home. Neither one had been wounded, but they talk about the horrors of war and the things they had gone through and the near misses. So in her attempt to save everybody, she asked this guardian angel, protect them. So do I believe in angels? I'm here because of angels. And I know that you all have angels around you also. Now, I want to tie in the song that I did first. Remember that, Love Me? When my older sister was in high school, she and another boyfriend decided to run off and get married. We lived in southeast Oklahoma. They were going to Memphis, Tennessee, where his parents lived. He had just gotten out of high school. So they took off early one morning. My dad finally decided what had happened, and he called the cops. And they picked him up, locked him up, and brought her home. But oddly enough, it kind of works out because they got married eventually. But my dad did not like this young man at all. He was, well, when I was growing up, he was kind of my hero. He was a football star, basketball star. He drove a car that his parents had given him. I think it was a 49 Ford convertible, if I recall right. Plus he had his parents' card that they would have given you in every few years or so. So he was kind of my dad would say, he was a smart aleck. I know it all. He didn't want anything to do with him. So he had this bias against him from the first day he met him. He never did come to friendly terms with him, which I thought was interesting. But it's not so unlike the song that is there. I think maybe they're predicting it to be a little better. But things happen in life. And I really like the angels' reply about what's going to happen in your life. Things you're destined to experience will happen. But certain parts of your life, you have to imagine them. You imagine them as you go along. That's what creates, that's your creative ability. And you have angels around you all the time. Now, one of the things I find fascinating is I communicated with this angelic being. She helped me write a song that I want to do for you. And it's all about her perception of things. So let me bring that up and see if I can find the music for it here. Present that to you. Because I think it's very special. Now, the thing I want to remind you is that you all have angelic beings around you. If you pray to God or Jesus, guess where it is handed down to? There's only one of them. They cannot be everywhere and doing everything. So the angels around you are the ones that do the work. Those are the ones that you can communicate with easily. And you have different angels I see around you for your whole lifetime. You have some that are guides, some that simply wish to advise you, and you have these that we call guardian angels. This is a picture of one of them. Now, by the way, this is one of my mother's favorite pictures. And from the time that her mother passed away, she always saw this angel and her younger brother crossing the bridge. But the angel was always there. Now, in that process, my mom did get some schooling. I'm not sure that she ever graduated. I guess I wasn't interested enough to find out at the time. She passed away a few years ago. Sometimes you don't really love and respect people in our lives until they're gone. Then you finally figure out, hey, that was very special. Now, when I was growing up, I always thought I had an average life. Turns out, it wasn't. So when you look back on your life and the things that happen for you, give a little credit to your angelic beings that are around you, even if you never recognize them. Simple thoughts are telepathically transferred to them. And they do everything they can with your permission and never against your permission. So let me do this final song for you. And I think maybe that you will relate a little bit to that one also. So hang on. I believe in angels, heavenly angels. Oh, did you know there are angels here for you and me? And they walk with us and they talk with us, hoping we'll listen to what they say. Whoa, angel, beautiful angel, they're all around us. Have you talked? Have you listened to your angels today? Have you ever just closed your eyes and seen angels? There are 3 groups of angels for the whole of your lifetime here. Oh, there are ones who guide you, ones to advise you, and ones that are your guardian angels. Whoa. And did you know they will protect you and yours if only you would ask of them too? I believe in angels, beautiful angels. Do you now believe there are angels, heavenly angels too? beautiful angel. Thank you much. That was a gift from this being that Mom calls angels. And that was her message to you today, in song. But she really is suggesting that you spend some time in meditation, talking to your angels and listening to what they say. Some people call them guides. Some people call them other things, but the reality is they're angelic beings around you. They are parts of this that we call God, the totality of everything. So is there a plan? Not without angels, we tell you. So thank you very much.